What's up, my people? J Max here again. Um, Today I want to talk about why niggas lie about their horsepower gains. One of my, I guess two of my boys the other day was on Instagram. Yes, I'm on Instagram. Follow me at Mr. Jason Lyrics. Follow me. My boy them tagged me in a photo of a guy in an SCR. I think it's a '05 Ultima SCR, claiming his car makes 302 wheel horsepower from bolt-ons. And I'm like, I'm gonna shine a little light on that. I have the same car. Well, not the same car. Basically the same car, just in different body shapes. I have the same motor. I have an Ultima SCR motor in there right now. It was automatic and I converted it to manual. These VQ motors, VQ35DE motors, will not make 302 wheel horsepower from bolt-ons. Anytime someone comes to you and say, listen, they have a VQ motor, VQ35DE motor from Nissan, Infiniti, any one of them, they're lying. These motors are capable of putting down, I would say, 280 wheel horsepower when everything, what I mean everything, every possible bolt-on is on that car. Anything more than that, they have something in there that they're not telling you. I have the couple of bolt-ons. The only thing I think I'm really missing is probably some injectors, and the Kinetics intake manifold. And let's take my word, I am nowhere close to that, not even close to that. And I have a tune as well. The VQ35DE motors, they put down power. They put down some good power for the car, for the bolt-ons. There's a few bolt-ons available. Well, there's more than what most people may think, but they don't put on that type of wheel horsepower. I once knew a guy about 2 years ago, before I started getting into the performance aspect of racing and shit. Hands are dry as a mug. This can't be like on camera and shit and dry hands. The hell? Dry hand and ashy and shit. Damn. Anyways, back to my story. I once knew a guy about 2 years ago, before I started getting into the actual performance modification into that. He claimed, when I just met him, he had a few bolt-ons minus headers. He had no headers. He had the catback, the intake, and he said he did an uprev tune and his car was making 350 wheel horsepower. Me not knowing anything about these engines, I believe them. Again, too, a lot of guys, if you're into modification and performance, you should know the difference between wheel horsepower and crank horsepower. You cannot calculate wheel horsepower by taking bolt-ons according to what sites are telling you, add it to whatever your car came from stock, and then say that is wheel horsepower. It doesn't work that way. The only way you can determine how much wheel horsepower you have is to dyno the car after you get the bolt-ons to get it. You can't assume that, you could probably assume, yes, but it would never be an accurate. But anything over 280 horsepower, wheel horsepower on a VQ is internal. They went in there, they did cams. And another thing he did do connecting rods and pistons. I'm gonna put this out there right now. Connecting rods and pistons isn't to give your car horsepower. Connecting rods and pistons is to give your car strength for when you add force induction into your system. The VQ, the stock internals can handle a certain amount of pressure, a certain amount of boost. Anything over that, it's gonna detonate on you. So that's why they do internals like the cams. The cams is a good way to get some horsepower out of your engine, but the connecting rods and pistons will not give you probably more than, I would say, 5 horsepower, if that. It's just to strengthen your engine to do it. Now he told me that this is what he had, and I'm like, oh yeah, I believed him because again I didn't know anything about these engines. I am nowhere close to what these guys are claiming to say they have. The next guy who has these motors come out and tell you, even talk about it, should at least have a picture or something like a dyno chart or something that shows, okay, this is my name, this is my my car graph. Like they always, when you do a dyno, they always give you a graph, like, you know, with what your car does to what it was and what it is now. I have it. I choose to keep it anonymous for now because I want to be able to race these guys with higher horsepower cars. A lot of times guys they fabricate and they lie and they exaggerate about what their horsepower gains are when they know the truth. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to me because at the end of the day, you're going to find that one guy one day with less horsepower than you who's going to take you out, and you're going to have a very bitter taste in your mouth. So again, these guys who lie and exaggerating about having 290 300 plus wheel horsepower on bolt-ons, they're lying. Cams is probably one of the internals that, you know, other things that I could do, but I don't see myself getting into the cams because that's basically opening up the engine and changing out everything internally. The car is still a street legal car. I raced with it. It's still a street legal car. There's different levels of cams to do with these VQ motors. It's a pretty pricey job. I could probably get a new engine and start building it over than to do the cams. But again, man, like I don't see the purpose in lying about your numbers. And the majority of these guys lie about these numbers. They do not have anything solid to show you. I could show you on my dyno sheet, but again, yeah, I gotta wait for that because my strategy it won't change. So yeah, man, like when guys come to you and talk about their wheel horsepower gains and they're making like this amount of money, do your research because a lot of time people lie about these things and it just don't make no sense to me. I would love to catch this guy and race him, but I don't talk to him anymore. I seen what really sparked this conversation is the Instagram photo that I saw, and I remember seeing his ad up on Kijiji for sale. The car is up for sale, and miraculously the car went from 350 to 285 wheel horsepower now, and it still don't make no sense because I am still nowhere close to that, and I have headers, he doesn't. So the fact that he's driving an automatic, same car, basically I'm more modded than him, more bolt-ons, and we're tuned together, he's making more than me. That's not how it works. Guys are let me tell you how guys are calculating their wheel horsepower. The VQ35 DE motors come 265 to the crank when you get it out of the shop. The dealership. Guys are going to get on the drive crank pulley. They're saying about 4 to 6 horsepower. They're getting intake manifold spacers. That's about another 10 horsepower. They're getting headers. That's promised about 10 to 12 horsepower. They're getting intake, cold air intake. That's probably about 8 horsepower if you're lucky. And then doing a tune. And then all of a sudden they went from 265 to 3 plus horsepower, wheel horsepower. That's not how it works. Your numbers would be so far off that you're probably going to walk out of that shop pissed off, like, what the fuck happened? Like, why guys saying to me that they're making this amount of the power, but when I went and do it, I didn't get nothing close to it. That's because it's a lie. Don't let people tell you about these VQ motors and making 280 something plus on just bolt-ons. You had to have gone in internally, and again, internally I would range it in between the 280 if you went internal to 290. Let me see any dyno numbers with anything above that and tell me what your models are, and then I'll probably believe it. But don't let people tell you anything about making 300 plus wheel horsepower and just bolt-on. It's a bunch of bullshit, and that's forced induction numbers. But anyways, y'all ain't gotta believe me. I'm just a guy from Canada. See y'all, man, on the next video. One.